Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Want to say good evening to you from the Philippines. The current local time is 5:30 p.m. Saturday afternoon here in the Philippines, and we have a very long, exaggerated but amazing updates to share with you on our mission flight report. I want to welcome you to season 7. This is going to be episode 3. We've divided it into two parts because we counted it's about 15 or so patients. And there's no way we want to put all of that in one report because we're going to just be rushing and take a lot of time. And so, for the sake of enjoying them to the max, we've decided to make this part 1 and stay tuned for part 2. If it is your first time here, you know what to do. Share the live with others, invite a friend, give us a thumbs up, a comment below to let us know where you're watching from and how you're being benefited by these videos. I'm going to go ahead and share it in a group or two that I'm a member of. And that way we can definitely see the viewers rise to the occasion, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now in one group. And there's another one too. And maybe I will try that one too. Yeah, there you go. So I shared it in 3 groups. We'll see how many of them will actually join from that. You can like us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook. Or if you're not a Facebook person and you're over YouTube and it's your first time and you're seeing this content, please subscribe to the channel. That being said, without further ado, we're just going to go right into the report. And we're going to kick things off with a video clip here that we have prepared for you. Basically, it's Nurse Nelson in action. We're gonna bring her on, and we're gonna play the clip so that you guys can definitely see that for sure. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so this mission was out of Cuyo, I believe. Nurse Nelson was with us. So let me just grab my clipboard here a little bit. All right. I had prepared a summary for you guys. Yeah. So this one was Otacuyo Island, and we were destined to take the patient to Puerto Princesa. From base to Cuyo, for those who track me, from base to Cuyo, it takes me about an hour and a half to get there. Definitely under 2 hours flight time. If the winds are strong, it's almost a 2 hour trip. And then once we pick them up, it's another hour, 15 hour and 20 minutes to drop the patient. This is why we get nurses who are experienced and know what they're doing because they have to deal with the handoff, right? This is the endorsement. It's where they brief the flight nurse of the status of the patient, the condition, any concern, precaution, what they need to do, etc. Now, I'm just a pilot flying. I'm not the nurse. So I'm going to let Nurse Nelson tell you guys what all that handoff. Nurse, tell us, what is the handoff like?
The
Wait,
nurse
right here.
endorsed the patient to me. Yeah,
Yes.
and then patient.
So, what are some of the details they tell you? Like when they're endorsing the patient of what
Ah,
are like,
the diagnosis of the patient, the marking. Yeah.
okay. All right. So you get the endorsement, so you bear all those things in mind. Now, this is the part that a lot of people, especially who are pilots who follow me, they're always curious. How do we get a patient laying down inside a Cessna 182? It's high wing, which is good, but the door configuration, not perfect, but it's really nice and ideal. So this is how we do it. And here's a video clip of how we do it. We remove the door completely. Then one person is on the inside. They come over the wing strut. These are really short clips, by the way. And then the next video actually explains how we get them off. So as you can see right here, I pause the video. The door is off. They are above the wing strut, and we just have to hold them upright the entire time. So nurse, where are you? You can keep nurse there. There you go. So do you remember this patient? Any challenges you had during the flight?
Yeah, that is the patient. He pressure. Yeah, and
Oh,
then he had a coronary syndrome with ST elevation myocardial infarction. So he had a stroke. That patient
mm,
had a stroke. Yeah, and that is a
okay.
life-threatening emergency as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay, so this was an
then
emergency.
yeah,
Okay. All right, interesting. Any particular, was this a 50-50 patient? I know you said it was
it's just
emergency.
like I know.
Was the
It's just that he's having chest pain.
mm,
He's having and yeah, has having chest pain all the time. His
okay. So,
blood pressure. When you see me at the back, right? Like his,
mhm.
yeah, it's like every 15 minutes I have to.
To be monitoring him. Somehow your
Mhm.
audio this week is not the best. Hopefully we can improve on it next week. But yeah, you're cut. Some of what you're saying it's cutting out. I'm not sure why that's happening. All right, couple things that I like to cover in these reports, guys, because many of you might be wondering. We are taking these patients into areas where we do see commercial flights in and out, operating, etc. So the question can be asked, are these individuals, if you're just having chest pain, is that enough for you to have to be airlifted on an airplane separately from a commercial flight? And then if you're on this island and you're having chest pain as the diagnosis showed, why do they still need to go out? From a nurse perspective, why do you think they still need to be airlifted? What's happening on their island that puts them on an airplane for an evacuation flight?
If they have boats there, it will take them, I know, like 2 days. I don't days to be in the hospital, and then also
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah in plane. It's like it would harm also the if this patient will have heart attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay. Yeah.
passenger would be like, oh, what's happening? Something like that.
Mm. And I mean, we all know the airlines is worried about liability as well, so the condition needs to be considered. No, we wouldn't put this patient on a commercial flight because from the video clip here, you can definitely see that Nurse Nelson is holding IV. So this is not just chest pain, guys. We won't get into the minute details, but a patient just having chest pain ended up being hospitalized. No, come on, this small airplane. This is dextrose being held by Nurse Nelson. Definitely, it's not just a little tedious or a simple chest pain, so to speak. So the next thing to bear in mind as well is time, the time factor, and also the availability of medical resources on these islands. Sometimes the facilities don't have the equipment, they don't have the medical staff to be able to do further checkup and analysis, and that's why they end up finding themselves where they're in a situation where either the boats are not going, it's critical, it's not the schedule for the ship, or the weather is bad. The distance that they would have to travel on a boat might contribute to them being more sick, in a lot more pain. So the airplane actually becomes a very much convenient and a faster route for them to be able to get out. We're gonna look at the next story here that we wanted to share with you guys. So this is the second one. After this mission, we definitely got stranded at this airport, so we ended up having to spend the night at the airport. in order to, just survive because we ran out of time. The weather wasn't the best. And when I'm there, I usually like to capture a little. I still watch planes take off and land because I'm still a kid. We had contacted the doctor from another island close by, and we did have another confirmed medevac the next day. So we spent the night, reached out to the doctor, asking her if she has a patient who needed any airlift services. For those who are just what you're new to the channel, you might notice right here Nurse Nelson is wearing something around her upper body. This is a vest or a life. It's a life vest. As the crew on board, so as the pilot in command, we do fly a lot over the ocean. We are required, the pilot is required, the nurse not so much, but we've added an extra security where I will wear mine all the time as a pilot in command, and Nurse Nelson will wear hers as well because in case of an emergency, us as the crew, me the pilot, her the flight nurse, she doesn't have to worry about putting on her vest. So her focus will now be getting the patient and the watcher with their vest ready to go. Nurse, do you remember anything as it relates to your point of view as the flight nurse with this patient?
That is the second patient, right? That
Yes.
is the patient with pleural effusion tuberculosis. And this is the patient that he pulled out his right. Yeah, he pulled out his oxygen because it's so restless. It's like he wants to sit, lay down, sit. Yeah, and
Mm,
then he had it's like he has difficult in the air. So I was
mm,
like, why? Because he's so hard-headed patient. That's why I have to. Why did? Because he can't hear me, and then I can't hear him. So it's like he don't listen to me. So when he pulled out his oxygen after 2 minutes, that's the time he had difficulty breathing, and then good thing inhaler. Yeah,
mm.
yeah. So that patient makes me nervous.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
with
look back and I did notice. Yeah, he sat up. So again, from a nurse perspective, sometimes those patients are not the easiest to handle. And when you're in a small airplane, it's noisy. I mean, convenience. It's faster than the boat, and you're above the clouds and all that stuff. But they do have challenges. So I'm happy. Nurse, quick question: when you do have a restless patient, not really following instructions so much, how do you cope with that kind of stress and challenges on the job?
I have to use my therapeutic hands. That's why I have to rub their back for them to, because sometimes they're like they keep moving and moving, so it's do something so that they will means be still.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're able to keep up, but man, the audio this week for nurses just not the best. But hopefully we'll just keep going. Our next oh, did I just pause again? All right, our next request here is, I think this was the same day. Was
Healing.
this the day? No, a couple days later, right? We had gone to the base. So after we helped that patient, that mission actually took us to the next air base, where we were there doing some inspection. And for that, I do have some photos for you guys, where we're gonna pick up with that. So, nurse, we're gonna bring you back shortly. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, so that mission took us to the other airbase where we had the opportunity to get some checks done on the airplane itself. So we always check our oil. So we had done a fresh oil change on the airplane. We've been doing them quite often. And again, I just want to reach out to those who had donated. Um, Last year, I believe, close to the Christmas break, for us to buy a drum of oil. It's such a huge blessing to us because prior to that drum of oil, I would have to make a lot of trips to the big city in Manila. This airplane uses 10 quarts of oil. At every oil change. We put 10 quarts. I have a screen filter, so I have to be doing what's this? I do my oil change every 25 hours. When I look at the logs, 25 hours come up pretty quick. Week and a half on average. I'm doing 25 hours, week and a half. And it's just primarily because a lot of these trips are pretty lengthy. The average mission takes about 6 hours to complete, and very seldom you can actually help two en route without stretching yourself too far. The range on the airplane is pretty good. I can get at least comfortably 8.5 hours flight time without refueling, and if anything takes me beyond that, the most I've brought extra is about 15 to 20 gallons extra in order to get certain missions done and be comfortably back home without worrying, because a lot of these islands we go to, they don't have aviation fuel available, and areas where they do have, it's so costly that we rather bring our own in bottles so we don't have to buy anything from the truck. So we did our oil change. I like gapping the spark plug. It's so satisfying when you see a very clean spark plug on the airplane. This is the before and that's the after. So we gap them and we sandblast them so that they are looking really nice. And we do that every 50 hours. For this mission, we Coolion, as you can see, the grass is getting pretty high, and sadly, this was the last mission I think we did out of there. Last couple, one or two, yeah. We had closed off operations because the grass got very high. Termites are hiding in the grass, termite mounds to be more exact. And due to that challenge, it's not something that I could continue to do. I landed one time, and apart from dogs walking out and running across the airstrip, we've had people coming out of those high bushes and crossing the runway. So we officially told our contacts there that we're not able to accommodate them, which introduced a new challenge to those who are trying to get the medical help that they need. As a result of not operating here on this airstrip anymore in Coolion due to the airstrip not being safe, the patients now have to take a speedboat for an hour and a half to get to the other airport, and then we transport them from then on. So if you're watching and you're from Coolion and you're a part of the government or the community, I would encourage you guys to come together with your time and your resources, do some really good cleanup work on this strip, and we're more than willing to come back and be of help to you guys. So here we have another patient. Nurse, we're gonna bring Nurse Nelson back. We only have photos for this one. We don't have any videos. Do you remember our patient here? I think you had given her something to help her to stop puking on the airplane, right?
And that is, oh yeah, that lady, her father has disease. Yeah.
Yes. So she almost became a patient. She's supposed to be the watcher. And I mean, it started out well. She was taking pictures, she was comfortable, and then I don't know, in cruise, she just started to look a bit uneasy and wheezy. And next thing I know, she had a plastic bag. Why were we wearing a mask for this one, nurse?
Oh, he had tuberculosis.
Okay, so anytime you see, I don't like masks, guys, but there's some patient due to the illness, we have to wear a mask to just protect ourselves, keep ourselves healthy, so that we don't end up get sick. A nurse will insist. Now, for those who are aspiring missionary pilots, we know the pandemic is over. If you don't want to wear one of these very thick masks that I have to really scream at the microphone in order to make my radio calls to your traffic controller, because sometimes they're like, Medivac 1282, you're coming in garbled. And I'm like, this crazy mask on my face is making it hard to communicate. If you are privileged to get Airbus or Boeing rating, for those who are Filipinos, you won't have to deal with stuff like this. Or if you fly a King Air, you don't have to do stuff like this either, because you can just pull that curtain, close the door, no mask needed. You won't even see the patient. But on a small little Cessna 182, you have to wear. What is this mask called, nurse? What grade is it?
The N95 mask.
A95. Yeah, you gotta wear this
Mhm.
thick A95. I mean, it squeeze your head, the headset. Not the most comforting. But why do we do it? Because missionary pilot life is not about your personal comfort zone, guys. It's about the comfort and the effort that it takes to help others. We were able to help that patient, and it was a long day for us. So right after we helped that patient, we refueled up and we set out for Batanes. It was nice to be in Batanes. Due to time constraint, we could not help the patient the same day, but we helped the patient the next day. Nurse, what was your experience like being in the lovely Batanes, camping out for the night? Did you go sightseeing and go to the chocolate hills or no?
No, I love Batanes, even if I then where we went to, where we eat.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, I find it friendly and accommodating.
yes,
Yeah, the
yes,
people there.
definitely. Yeah, so Batanes is one of my favorite places to do missions. For those who are Ivatans watching, if you look at my insight, Basco Batanes is always the top city that views my page. So we made it, and they were praying, they were tracking me, and it was good to run into them. We always like to say shout out to different individuals. So Bors, he's now in the Philippine Air Force. This is Anthony. I did share his story a while back. Amazing guy. He's now helping out in the Air Force. He still comes to the airplane and help with some ground crew stuff. So shout out to you, and happy Sabbath. We want to say shout out to who is this nurse? Let's see if you remember.
I forgot.
It's Ma'am Haripa. Ma'am Haripa helps us to coordinate. They're amazing lady. In at Ma'am Haripa's house, I have a room dedicated for me. It had a fan before, now it's upgraded. There's an aircon. And I enjoy spending time with her and her husband and her kids and the other people that comes to her house. So Ma'am Harita, if you're watching, want to say shout out to you. She helps me to get planting all the time. Once it's called Tandok. Once she knows I'm the one coming to her island to do missions, she always gets me hooked up with some tandok or planting if it is available. This was at the base, so we did that mission. We're now at the base, and we're gonna dig through this airplane to get 100-hour inspection. The 100-hour inspection, for those who don't know, nurse, we're gonna bring you back shortly. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. For those who don't know, a 100-hour inspection is the same inspection that you do annually, right? Just with a slight difference. So with the 100-hour, we decided, you know what, we're gonna pull this airplane apart. We're gonna scrutinize it meticulously, looking for issues to ground it. Fortunately, we went through and we went through. Here's a checklist. So thanks to Andrew here, I have a list of names. Andrew is one of our missionary pilots. If you've been following the PAMS Facebook page, you would have met him particularly. He's the fiance of the missionary flight nurse who went missing over a year ago. So he's still with us, serving as a missionary pilot there in the Palawan base, particularly flying another 182 and a Cessna 206. So he has a checklist. He's an AMP graduate from SMAT, and he was willing to set aside some time and help me to go through this airplane meticulously, looking for all the different things. While I was at the base, I had the privilege of getting my smile resurrected, right? So I want to say shout out to Saving Smiles. Go check out their Facebook page, Saving Smiles, run by Doc One and Doc Summer, right? We also have Doc I and some different individuals who offer their assistance. So right there at the Palmas Palawan base in the lifestyle center, there's a dental clinic and they have a shop there. They have a dental office there and our clinic rather in Brooks Point, Palawan. So for those who are watching from Puerto Princesa, if you ever happen to go on the southwestern side of Palawan Island, you can definitely check out their clinic. They also do Medivacs. I mean, not Medivac. They also do med missions in the remote areas of the mountains for the Palaweno. They will bring extra help. They'll bring their gears. They'll hike like crazy, or they get a comfortable, quick flight on a helicopter. Whatever means of transport they have to use, they will go there, camp out for a couple of days, and they help the natives. So as I said, go check out their page, Saving Smiles. Check them out, subscribe, like, follow, and if God open your heart or impress your heart rather, you can always make a contribution to them. So we got the plane done with the 100 hour, and I flew the thing back home. And on our way home, we saw this beautiful rainbow. Now, if you think rainbows are beautiful on the ground, you have to check them out in the clouds. This was about 9,500 feet, and you will see the entire oval shape. So if you're lucky enough, you look out and you see the whole thing. The camera did not do justice. I'm yet to have a good enough camera to pick that up. I am from the area where fruits and vegetables are a little bit more on the expensive side compared to others. So whenever I go to these little remote islands where fruits are way cheaper than where I live, I always like to stock up a little bit. So these big, nice. I hope you're not hungry if you're Filipino, right? But these nice juicy mangoes came at only I think 70 or 80 pesos per kilo. If you take this same size, you bring it over to where I live, you're spending like right now they're 300 pesos per kilo for these. Do the conversions about 56 pesos to $1. So you do the math, and that will tell you how much it is. We're gonna bring Nurse back. We had another Medivac here. This was the one from Kulion going to Sangli, and she was definitely taking some pictures and videos, and I happened to capture this photo with her. I think you did get some updates that they're doing well, no, right? That
Yeah,
she.
Nana is getting well na. He's at home. She's at yeah, she's okay now, and we keep in touch. And the daughter, Nana always telling the regards to us.
Nice, nice. So we
Yeah,
love, we love. It's not every day we get to hear back from the flight, because a lot of people they ask that. Are you hounding these people with your religion and your belief? Why are you helping them? Well, here's the answer to that. I don't remember her name. I don't have her phone number. Sometimes the only time I remember that they are still out there surviving, etc., is sometimes they find out that I'm a blogger and they find my page or something. Sometimes the contacts will tell them, oh yeah, that pilot, he's Maba Et, he has a channel, he's a vlogger. And then they find the channel and they'll send me pictures and updates, etc. Now with Nurse, she's Filipina, so very friendly, very sociable. She'll know, get their contact, they keep in touch as friends. She will offer them her virtual distant care over the phone to say, hey, if you need any more help medically, you can always reach out to me and I'm more than willing to help you. So that's good. We're going to switch back to videos. I think we had picked up that patient there in Kulion. Nurse, what was the experience like? Any challenges with the flight itself, transporting the patient?
What's that patient?
It's this the same one. This was we picked them up in Coleon. It's the same one. This was the drop off in Sangli. Were you with me with this patient or did need a nurse? I remember this. This is the watcher actually. He's the
Yeah.
watcher that was up front.
Ah, that is. You remember the patient who always he gets my hands and right.
Yes. So nurse found an amazing patient. I don't know if he had a crush on her, but I look back and I saw it. We have videos and so, but we're not gonna show you those things. Those are exclusive videos only for our eyes and our memory. But I did look back, older guy, and the glove, I guess the latex or the glove felt really good. And I would see his hand just doing like that, rubbing his face, and he had a smile going. So anyway, our environment, guys, it's different. Sometimes it smells like poop. Sometimes it smells like the fresh wounds or the wounds are decomposed, slightly decomposed. Patient who died. But there are moments like these where we look and we see all that touch of love. So it definitely warmed Nurse heart to know that this patient felt so close to her. Very interesting experience. I could tell the watcher he was a little bit nervous for the flight, but he survived. He made it.
That's the
But it's
fun.
good. Yeah.
But
I want to say shout out. I want to say shout out to this gentleman right here. Okay. When my very first reel that reached 1.5 million views in less than a week, it was his voice. So you might have seen it in Tagalog. He was directing he was coordinating how we're gonna get a pregnant lady from the airplane onto the stretcher into an L300. I do want to take the time out to say shout out to all the management and staff, the air traffic controllers of Sangli Airport. They are amazing. I mean, once I show up at Sangli, when I make my radio call, they give me priority landing. They will ask me over the radio, "Cop, is the ambulance coordinated? Do you need any help for your, ground crew, etc." So these guys there in Sangli Airport, they are doing an amazing job. They go beyond the job description. They get hands on. They will bring a stretcher, a spinal board. If they'll bring everything they can, including a vehicle. They will call an ambulance. If the one that is scheduled to come gets lost, they will give directions over the phone. And I just want to emphasize that the management and staff of Sangli Airport, they help to make my life so much better. So shout out to you guys. And this is the police that went viral, over 1.5 million views for that video. Nurse, I don't know if you recognize this watcher, but I know it's in Puerto at this point. Do you remember this one?
yeah, that's the patient we transported because they found out that they have something in her brain. So they
Mm.
via MRI.
Okay, so here you go, guys. So patient, they found something on the brain, needed to get some more diagnosis and analysis and to do more tests. Their islands didn't have much to offer clearly, and so we had the opportunity to transport this particular patient to help them. The By the way, I'm not gonna let anyone be jealous. The air traffic controllers and the ground staff, including police and security, they're in Puerto Princesa International Airport, located on Palawan Island. They offer the same kind of care similar to Sangli. As a matter of fact, when I was just new to flying missions, I remember Puerto would the air traffic controller will get the details know what hospital they're going. They will coordinate an ambulance and they will do everything to help. So they actually started that culture. And I'm happy that Sangli adopted that. Boswanga, the air traffic controllers, they're a little bit helpful as well to get in and out. Their police will also come and give a helping hand. And I like to emphasize those things because, you know, I, as a missionary pilot doing these humanitarian flights without a ground crew at each airport, I do rely on the kindness from the police and the security guard and also the help of the air traffic controllers. And so when I see that effort being put out to help us to make these missions easier, I can't help but show my gratitude. So to all the management and staff, air traffic controller, the police, the ground security personnel, even other fellow pilots who are there, who have their hangar, they'll come to the rescue there in Puerto Princesa as well. They'll help refuel. There's times I needed an O-ring, and I did have an extra, but by the time I found mine, there was a mechanic there who worked on an airplane in that hangar. He was like, "Hey, I have a whole stash of O-ring," and he brought one and he gave it to me so I could actually have some spare. So these people are really amazing. It's not just us who are committed and helping sacrificially, but the locals are also involved with their help as well. Did you have any challenge with the patient? You said that something was happening on the brain. Any concern for that flight?
No, because the patient is she's fine.
Okay,
It's
so
just she
very
just need
stable.
MRI. Yeah, she's very stable.
Okay, okay, good. That's good. So, I mean, I like that. The less challenging the patient, the better life is for me and for you. And so, if I mean, I wish it could be that easy all the time. You know, they're stable, and all we need to do is just load them in, get them there. But sometimes nurse job does get very, very challenging, and we're gonna talk about that not on this episode, but stay tuned for part two, and we'll tell you how crazy and challenging. And I remember there were times when nurse was new, she had to work an ambu bag for about an hour and a half, and at the end of it all, the fingers were all blistered. So it's just a part of the job there in taking care of these individuals, and we always do our best. Um, so one point of note here with this mission that I do remember, when we loaded the patient, and this is nurse, we're gonna bring you back shortly. Don't go anywhere. All right. I remember I did something on this flight. So for those who are pilots and aspiring missionary pilots, this is for you. Tune your ears to this screen right now, and I'm gonna do something even more amazing. Yeah, full focus. Now, something happened on this flight where so it's a four-seater airplane, right? The patient, I always want to know the weight of my patient, my watcher, my nurse, and I. We know our weight. We know the weight of the fuel, our survival bag, etc. We know that, but the patient's weight fluctuates a lot, right? Because no two patients are the same. The watchers, their weight also fluctuate. And I remember I loaded the airplane, and nurse likes to have the patient beside her, especially whether sitting or laying down. We always give her that close connection between her and the patient so she can offer care during the flight. No, my weight was a little bit challenged on this where I said, okay, maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But anyway, I loaded up the airplane, and the watcher and the patient, their weight was kind of close to each other a little bit, but not the same. And I remember when I loaded up and I fired up the engine, usually I will see how, like, when we load it, because we will load it from the back to the front, because the patient needs to pass the front seat to go to the back. The watcher and I will go in last. So my tail is always down, my nose is up. When I start the engine, if my center of gravity is right, immediately the nose will go forward and I know, okay, CG is perfect, right? When I loaded up this patient, I was a little bit concerned with the weight. Where I'm taking off, I have to clear a house and a hill at the departure end. And long story short, I remember when I fired up the engine, my nose came up a little slower than the usually that one. So I was taxiing, and this little voice in my head saying, "You know what? This is not gonna work." And I remember I taxied less than just a couple seconds, just roll it a little bit to see how it would roll. And I didn't like what I was feeling. I looked back at my tail. I didn't feel like it was gonna work. And I shut down the engine, got everybody out of the airplane, and I said, "Okay, patient, you're stable. My nurse will have to offer you any care from the front seat." So I put the patient in the front seat and I put the watcher in the back seat. And as soon as I did that, fire up the engine, my nose came. So for those who are aspiring missionary pilot, who might not have the luxury of a scale, you have to know by experience at some point and careful thinking, where is your center of gravity? Because if it's in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're gonna kill yourself and kill people, and we'll just leave it at that for now. Nurse, how did that change, or yeah, how did that affect you when I put the patient up front? Now you have to stretch.
I'm a little scared though.
You were a little
Because,
scared.
yeah, when you right with that patient and you put her in the front,
Mm,
right? It's like it's good because you're it's like safety first all the time.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's always safety first, and as the pilot, that's your main priority. So we got her safely done. Did you get any updates from them at any point, or no? Did you get any updates on how the patient is doing?
No.
Is this one of your friends? Okay, so well, we always pray that they're doing okay. Sometimes a year will pass. One day they find our Facebook and they'll say, "Hey, you helped me. I'm so grateful. I recovered." Or sometimes it's a relative who happened to see a reel and they go, "Oh yeah, this was the medevac. This was the missionary pilot and the nurse." As you know, flying the airplane is not just something that I do, but I remember this one. We had another long day, and one of the things that I do when I know it's gonna be a long day and the weather is gonna hold, I like to get going early. So sunrise at this particular time, the sunrise to legally take off is 3 minutes before 6 a.m. in the morning. I was at the ramp pre-flighting with a flashlight. Actually, you know what? I like pre-flighting with a flashlight because I get to see stuff that maybe my eyes would not have focused so much. When I pull the the oil door and open and I go in with the light, I go under the wing. It's like a magnifying glass amplifying thing. So I enjoy doing pre-flight before sunrise. So this particular day, we had a long day ahead of us, so we were just making sure that we get everything going so that we can definitely help as much patient. This was going to be a stretch, and it's the last one we have in this week's report. Basically, we're going to be helping a patient from Coron going to Sangli, and then after that, we're going to go to base, refuel, and head towards Batanes. We didn't make it to Batanes. We had to stop for the night in to Gigaral Airport, and that's where we found a nice caballo that helps us with our luggage. More on that coming soon. Do not touch that dial. Keep staying with us. So this is just a pre-flight in the dark. We're there early after 5 o'clock, getting everything loaded, pulling around that airplane. And one thing I've learned, you see that, guys? In this job, you cannot be a weak link. So those I do get requests for aspiring missionary pilot. You need to Google what is the weight of a Cessna 182. Okay. For those who have a nice one in their hangar, those who are pilot, you have a nice Cessna 182 in your hangar. I always see posts where they're trying to research what is the best tow to buy that can pull the airplane. You go to these ramp, we don't have a ground crew, we don't have a hangar, we don't have a tug, so it's all muscles. So this crazy Jamaican guy has to put all the muscles he can and pull that airplane into a U-turn and pull it. And it's weight wise, when it's empty, it weighs about 1,800 and something pounds, a little under 1,900 pounds. When you put full fuel with it, it goes even further. One gallon weighs about 6 pounds, so it's 6 pounds to a gallon for the fuel. And then when I'm doing this flight, I usually have 50 gallons. So let's do the math. The plane weighs a little under 1,900 pounds. With 50 gallons of fuel, you multiply that 50 by 6, you're looking at about what, 300 pounds on average, right? So when I'm pulling this beast all by myself, and all Nurse Nelson is doing is taking a video of the moment. For those who are aspiring missionary pilots, you have to come to this job with all the muscles you got. Look at that, guys. Ah, it was a proud moment for me pulling over 2,000 plus pounds all by myself on three little tiny wheels. This is the job. And if you don't have that muscle, so for those who are females, who are contemplating becoming a missionary pilot, if you don't have the muscles to pull this airplane, because at this hour of the morning, the security guard is trying to wake up from his, he's not going to come help you pull that airplane. And if you have a nurse like mine who is not the strongest, you're on your own, right? So, so for those who are aspired pilots who are curious what the job description is like, you must be able to pull an airplane that weighs over 2,000 plus pounds all by yourself at the wee hours of the morning. And to top it off, to make your life even more interesting, you're going to do all that sacrificial work and you don't get a salary at the end of the month. No benefits either. So you decide if it's worth it or not. I remember this patient nurse. He was a nice guy, very stable. And actually, when we get stable patients, we're happy because sometimes we have seasons where they didn't make it, they're restless, they're disoriented, different things happening. But he was good.
Or I know that's from Mapun, the one who pulled out the
Yes.
oxygen. Yeah,
He's the same
yeah,
one
he's
who
the one
pulled
who
the
pulled out
oxygen.
the oxygen. Yeah.
You sure? No, it's a different. No, this is not Mapun. This is Kulion. Kuron. Kulion going to Sangli. Yeah, this was Kulion going to Sangli. It was a Sabbath. 17th, I believe.
No, the 17th is
Yeah.
like this Nanay who that is
Yeah.
from Mapun.
Here's the grass. This is not Mapun.
It's
Trust me.
Mapun
All
because
right,
I remember the guy. Yeah, look at.
you
Yeah,
sure?
yeah, I'm sure.
With the daughter?
That's
Because this is the
not the.
watcher. This is the watcher. It's not
Yeah,
Mapun.
that's the one who vomit.
Vomited.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, that.
So he pulled his
No,
oxygen
that's
as
no,
well.
that's not the one, but it's the one the daughter vomits in the plane.
Yes. And you remember this was going to Sangli, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Um,
okay. It's okay. There's a lot of them. But I remember. Here's why. This is why I know it's Coolion, the
uh,
grass. Coolion is the only one that has this. If you show me any photo, I will know. It's like, yeah, I know exactly where this one was. Anyway, we got to the airport there in Sangli, and as you can see, we did have some rain happening. So it was a very interesting flight. rain coming down. We had some rain on the approach, and there's one thing I like about a Cessna. For some aspiring pilots, they usually like to ask, "Oh, you should have this plane or that plane." We primarily like to use high wing aircraft, so we've used 172, Cessna 180, 182, and also Cessna 206. We haven't moved up to a Caravan or a Kodiak, and that's just primarily because of the operating costs and maintenance for those things would come at a very higher price. But one thing I do like with the Cessna 182 and the Cessna 206 is the high wing configuration for the airplane, right? This wing, it becomes an umbrella when it's raining or when it's really hot. It's a shade by day, a defense, but if you know that hymn. But the wing here is very helpful. So we can put the stretcher underneath the wing, and it gives shade to the patient while we're loading and unloading them. If it's raining a little bit and the wind is not picking up and strong, they can drizzle. The wing offers shelter as well. So personally, I'm not a fan of low wing aircraft because it would pose a lot of challenges in the event that we have to load and unload our patient. And these are guys from Sangli Airport. They're very helpful. Uh where were we for this one, nurse? Do you remember?
Batanes.
All right, there you go. Batanes, guys, go check out my logo by Facebook website. So we had a meal. So right behind me was a restaurant where we had, I think it was dinner, like lunch slash dinner, because it was a long flight. We didn't get a chance to really feast as we would have wanted. So by the time we got to Batanes, it was like maybe 2 hours or so before sunset. We were hungry. We had to get something to eat, and I went down by the ocean. We were waiting for a tricycle to come pick us up to take us back to the hotel where we were staying. And I just went down by the ocean. I didn't. It was a little bit emotional for me, mainly because whenever I see the ocean now, all I can think about is Daniel Louis and Janelle, who went missing over the ocean a little bit over a year ago. So we rested for the night, and then we were a little bit delayed waiting for the watcher to come for this particular medevac request here. Shout out to all the staff. I'm gonna zoom in. Yeah. So we have these two gentlemen. You might have seen this one, Sikuya, sir. I don't have his name, but I know Sir John because I talk to Sir John a lot more privately. Messenger, we call each other occasionally. But he's always quick to come help me. He will send me pictures and videos of the environment of Bosco whenever I need weather update. I look at the app. He's always quick to send me pictures and videos to let me know exactly what that airport environment looks like. I can see the cloud coverage for the mountain, what the cloud coverage look like for the approach and coming into to Batanes. So shout out to you, Sir John. You're amazing. Dios Mamahes is actually how you say thank you in the Ivatan dialect. If you've seen a number of the cadaver that I did transport time to time, this gentleman right here, you might have seen his face and his hands helping to transport some of these individuals that needed our help. So we had picked up this patient. He was a critical patient that we were asked to transport, and I believe this is where our report will end. So we picked him up. We took him to Gigarao. This is the shoreline of Luzon. So when you leave Basco southbound, an hour and a half later, you will come to the borders here of the beginning part of northern Luzon island. So I always like to look at that nice line there. The closest airport here is about 10 minutes later. You'll pass Lalo, and then you get to Tuguegarao Airport. For those who are familiar with the orientation of the Philippines. So Basco Batanes is the last one. So yeah, there's the map. There's the map right there by GPS. Nurse, We're gonna bring you back. Don't move. We'll bring you back shortly. Okay, wait, take a long. So here's the video, guys. Um, this is my app showing where we're going. So right here is Apari, right? So we have Apari right here. And then this is Lalo, which is about 5 miles from the shoreline, is Lalo Airport. And this is where Luzon begins. We have the Camigan Island, the Babuyan Island to the north, and then we have Basco, our Batanes, which is Basco, Itbayat, and another one. It's three islands that make up Batanes, right? So there we go. Zoom in a little bit more. So I'm taking the patient here to Gigarao Airport. From Basco to Gigarao, the give or take, the winds are not as crazy and strong. It's about a little under 2 hour flight. It can take an hour and 40 minutes if the winds are strong, is strong rather. If it's not so crazy and you get a tailwind, you can do it in an hour and a half. From then, you don't really have much boat option between Basco and leading up to Tugigarao. And then most patients from Batanes will actually go to Tugigarao. Some of the ones from the coastal town like Makonakan and Palanan, they will want to go to Tugigarao as well. To Tugigarao is one of the best hospitals is actually in this city, right? The only downside about it is the hottest part of the Philippines. So for you expats and tourists who want some heat to kind of melt that winter off your bones, please go to Tugigarao in the hottest time of the year and you will go back to your ice and join how cold it is. You forget your cell phone outside on those days, and trust me, it will melt that thing, right? So if you want to know where is the hottest part of the Philippines, go up north to Gigarao is the hottest place um, that you'll ever experience here in the in the Philippines. So we just basically took that patient out. He was an emergency case. That's why we stretch ourselves. That particular day to get there, I did fly about 7 hours that day. Couldn't do anything else. And this was the last moment we had together with this patient. Unfortunately, after the flight was done, he didn't make it due to his illness, etc. He didn't make it. We got some news the next day that he didn't make it, and the video actually went viral, over 1.5 million views up to this day. The family has reached out to me, and I promised them in the event that I do come to Batanes, I will try and squeeze an hour or so off my time, and I definitely want to visit this family. One of his daughter, I believe, reached out to me well, maybe a week or so ago, just telling me how much she misses her dad. And these missions are one that really comes close to our heart. It makes us emotional. um, we were trying to coordinate to help bring him back home for closure with the family, but due to the arrangement that they wanted, they needed a bigger airplane, which fortunately they got, and they could have closure with the family. And sometimes that's something, it always breaks our heart to know that we tried our best. We rushed there as fast as we could to help him, but unfortunately the illness was too much and his body gave up the fight. So we just want to say, condolences to the bereaved family. Again, we know that grieving is never something that just ends real quick. It lasts for years. And as long as we're here, the social media family of Flying by Faith, the Palmas family, that continues to offer these missions in touching hearts with each mission. We just want to let you know that you are in our prayers. We're always praying and hoping the best for you. And we know no one can replace a dad, a brother. Actually, I read through a lot of the comments from the feed, and a number of them were workmates. There were some who were, it was apparently he owned a business of some sort, and his workers reached out to say how kind he was and caring. I also saw some of his batchmate from his college days or school years, they had reached out to say what kind of person he was, and that their school reunion will not be the same without him. So again, condolences to the bereaved family. We're always praying for you here as the social media family and the Palmer's family as well. Nurse, challenges you had with that mission?
What's that?
Yeah, it's the patient who unfortunately didn't make it
It's
the next day. Were you nervous on the flight? Were you doing all right?
at the same time, it's like because I'm checking all the time his autosat, but I know breathing and he's in pain, and also because he's swelling like all the sarca. So
Mm,
yeah, so it's like yeah, and then that he was expired. Yeah, that is sad.
yeah, it is. It is. All right, nurse. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to come back to you for the summary for this week. And I'm just going to cover one more story. So stay tuned. Nurse will be back with us for the summary of what this report had in store for you guys. And then we'll go to the Q&A session and we'll wrap things up pretty shortly. This one was pretty challenging for me. I thought I was finished, but I realized there's one more in the loop and I want to share it with you guys. I was really nervous for this one, but it was a huge blessing for me because of the dynamics of it. So it was an emergency request that came in. As you can see, the weather was not the most friendliest. I was a little nervous with this. You can see the rain there in the distance. Um, it's actually a foreigner, a Japanese patient. I'm going to pause it right there. This gentleman is from Japan visiting the Philippines, and unfortunately, I don't know what he was doing, but he got injured. Somehow he slipped and he ended up having a fractured leg. No, it just goes to show the nature of our work. Clearly, we're not just touching the hearts of Filipinos, but we're also helping foreigners who come to this country. They came here for vacation, and every now and then they get injured on these small islands, and they face the reality of what the locals have to deal with for years, where when he came, imagine he got a dislocated leg, right? So leg, it looks like it's either broken or dislocated. We're not sure because the facility where he went to for medical care did not have an x-ray machine to give a clear view of what was happening with his leg, right? His weight is 150 kilos, okay, over 300 pounds. And I watched these Filipino ambulance workers put hands and heart together, including mine, and we lifted him up and put him in that airplane safely. I remember when we were actually, when nurse told me about the flight, usually I ask for that, what's the weight of the patient? I saw the weight. Nurse had her survival bag ready, going towards the door to go with me. And I say, wait, 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 where are you going? Let me bring her back so we can see the reaction on her face. Nurse, where were you? Where do you think you're going? 150 kilos with a watcher and me, the piloto, and you. Where do you think you were going? She get the point, guys. I just wanted to bring her on for her reaction. I told her, I said, nurse, listen, if you're going and if a nurse is needed, there cannot be any watcher because that is gonna make the plane way over. I mean, we wouldn't fit. We wouldn't fit. It's a four-seater. We wouldn't fit. And so I remember I said that to her. I said, nurse, ask. No, it was heart rending, guys, because Here, you would think that at least the hospital where he went to in Botswana or Kuron could have put a splint. Um, you break your leg or you fractured your leg. You would think that they would put a splint on it at least. Sadly, this patient did not have a splint on his leg. All I saw on it, because later on he removed it, it wasn't bleeding, there's no wound, scratches, or anything, but somehow they had wrapped the entire leg from the hip down to the toes with bed paddings, bed pads, the one where you put under the patient when they need to pee and poop to not stain the linen. That's what was on this man's dislocated or fractured leg. And when we got to Sangli to drop him off, we had some challenges. And again, Sangli Airport ground crew, those workers who are police, security, and other areas where they serve, they saw the challenge we had. They brought a spinal board. They had to coordinate an ambulance to pick him up because, he's Japanese, English is not his first language. Somehow they had told him something over the phone, but when we got there, he's just laying in the airplane helplessly. And so, thanks to the ground staff there at Sangli Airport, they came to the rescue, coordinated an ambulance, and they put all their muscles together. Guys, I'm telling you, I personally almost hurt my ruin. I almost ruined my back. If I wasn't careful, I could have gotten a back injury assisting him. And he was in a lot of pain. He was in a lot of pain. And so here's an image I want to put in your mind. When we put him in the airplane, it was easy. Getting him off was the hard part. So I had to remove all the seats, including mine, to get him off so we can have room for multiple hands to come in. And I remember prior to that, we had to ease him up a little, slide the spine board. That wasn't working. So we removed the back chair behind me and mine on the pilot side, pull all of that, put the spinal board down, and he had to take his dislocated, fractured leg in all the pain. I don't think he was even under any painkiller. And he slid himself little by little, inches at a time, to go on that spinal board so that we could get him off. When I saw all the pain that he went through, I immediately remember my injury in 2001 when I was involved in a motor vehicle accident. And good people, good Samaritans, strangers came to my rescue. And when I was able to help this foreigner who came here in the Philippines doing tourism, got injured, went to one of the facility and saw the reality of what the locals have to deal with, how understaffed and under-equipped they are. He could even get an X-ray to tell whether the leg is broken or dislocated. But we got a call. We came to his rescue. And one thing I want to share with you guys as well is this very simple. I can tell you, when foreigners get hurt, we are not the first option that they usually find. They usually ask around, and the other chartered stuff, especially based out of Manila, you have to have very good insurance and a whole lot of money to be able to afford. Like one airline one chartered company that I know, to go to this area to pick up a patient and take them to Manila, their fee is about 480,000 pesos, right? In order to help that. We don't do any stuff like that. So we rely on the donation of people here on social media. And these are the moments when I really appreciate the social media family. The ones who work hard to pinch their little budget to extend to us financially to purchase the plane, oil, fuel, maintenance, upgrade, you're praying, you're watching. Like, we coming together and working together now for the last couple of years, we were able to help someone like this. We haven't gotten any updates from him. We don't know what's the status of the leg, if he had to do surgery or what. We don't know. But one thing we do know is that when he didn't have no other options, we were there and we transported him safely so he can be in a better medical facility. So thank you guys so much for what you continue to do for us in making all these missions a success, and definitely heart touching and heart warming. It's not the easiest thing for us to do it. Definitely, it has its challenges. But together, your prayers keep us motivated. Your comments, your feedback, all these things continues to be a blessing to us. As you can see here, we had transported a cadaver there right after helping a medevac patient. I was asked to bring this young man home. Apparently, the family wanted to give it a more fighting chance, but somehow he didn't make it. And it's a Muslim family, and in their culture, they must be buried within 24 hours. But I had the privilege of transporting him home to be within that 24-hour window. It was a very emotional flight. A lot of tears were shed for this mission. And sometimes the beauty outside the window helps to massage all the emotions and keep that intact. But it's still not enough, because after that beauty, you get there and you land, and then you're greeted again with the harsh reality of life. That some of them, they don't make it, and we're there. So when we cannot fly to deliver hope, I mean, to help save lives, rather, we fly to help to deliver hope. I'm going to point out something to you guys here a little bit. I'm going to pause the video right there. And I'm going to use my cursor and I'm going to show you something. This happened. This is the second time now. This is my bag right here in this vehicle. So the plane was bombarded with family and friends. They were helping to unload, and I'm there not realizing that somehow my bag went missing. I went to the base, landed and everything, and next thing you know, my bag was accidentally taken, and we were separated for about 3 weeks before I got a chance to go back to the area. So I'm praying right now, asking the Lord, give me a bag and an option where once the relatives see it, they will know for sure that that bag is not for a relative, but it's actually for the piloto. If you don't know what piloto is, you find a Filipino, they'll translate that for you easily. So sad mission again, but nonetheless, we were able to help to bring closure for the family. Shout out to Curl. Curl reached out to me, um, wanting to be one of our mechanics to volunteer with us. He's been with us now a little over maybe 3 months or 2 to 3 months. And you'll be hearing more about Curl, because we're trying to do everything to keep him in our ministry. He had private messaged me wanting to be one of the mechanics that keep our airplanes safe. He's Bisaya, so him and Nurse Nelson, they get along very well, because once you're Bisaya, you're good friends with Nurse. Right, Nurse? Where she's at? Right? Bisaya Pamor, no? Alrighty, so yeah, like Curl reached out to me via Facebook on my page. He's happens to be a Seventh Day Adventist Christian. He said, "Kuya, is there any way I could join the ministry to be one of the missionary mechanic to help keep the airplanes maintained and safe?" And I told him I don't have the facility, the accommodation at this time, but nonetheless, I reached out to the other base and they were able to provide accommodation for him. And so he was able to get in. So he's now getting training and exposure to our work. And we're looking forward to working together with him some more. While I was there, I had the privilege to just watch these guys say their, pray and get the helicopter going. They were doing some meetings and some different mission with Cap Brendan Peterson, Cap Sean Knapp, who serves faithfully there in the Palawan Air Base. So they were just getting ready for a flight up the mountains for some meetings with the schools. And they were just offering a word of prayer before they board the aircraft. Shout out to Claire Ibanez. Now he has the best name in the entire ministry because everyone yells at him all the time. before you start the engine, what do? Clear. So, anyways, for those of you who might have watched my channel long enough, you know that Claire's story is there. It's called the missionary pile, a missionary mechanic, something like that. Anyway, go check it out. If you look up Claire Ibanez, you will definitely see his story. His parents played a very key role in him becoming a missionary mechanic in our ministry, helping to keep us safe so we can come home to our family. He's now married, he has a daughter, and he continues to help me with the airplane. He was helping with the 100 hour, and he pulled off the wheel, grease the bearings, and he's always the number one guy who keeps my brake fluids where it's supposed to be. Again, I'm a kid on the ramp, so every so often I'm blessed to see helicopters landing. It's always a mixed feeling though. When I see a helicopter come in, all I can think about is Daniel Louis all the time. So we welcome Brendan Peterson to the Philippines. He's been here now a couple of months, and he continues the work there with the helicopter, up and down the mountains with the jungle school. This is Andrew just running through those checklists again when we had done. We had showed you some pictures of these. These are just the videos from those clips. And he's just digging into the airplane to make sure things are where they're supposed to be, safe and everything. Yeah, long list. So we couldn't do it without these guys. And I think this is just a video of the young lady with her dad that we had transported. Again, we had shown you videos of the pictures of these. These are just the photos. This captured my. I mean, we showed you pictures. These are the videos. I did tell you guys that this cap touched my heart. I'm gonna play it again, and I'm gonna bring Nurse Nelson to see her reaction. Nurse, who is this guy that picked up this lady in his arms and brought her to the airplane? It was so sweet. No, look
Yeah,
at
that's the
that.
husband. That's the husband.
Oh, look at that.
That's
You know what?
that is
This should be a
nanay. Nanay.
wow. Yeah, I thought they were gonna like. Yeah, we have to watch it again. This was just watch him. This man is strong. All these years, he's able to carry his wife. Look at that. Boom, picked her up. Ah, at his age, this man is a strong guy. Oh, lovely, 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 lovely. And he still has the muscles all these years. You see that? Alrighty, guys, we're at the end of our report, and what a way to end it, right? What a way to end it. That's love right there. Being able to carry your wife after all those decades of being married. Nurse, you have the summary for us. It's your time to
Patient
shine.
from Batanes. You
Huh?
remember? Last one in Batanes. The one who the watcher had the rosary. You remember that one?
Yes.
The one who
Yes.
asked what's the name of the pilot? You remember?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Patient that we had from Batanes.
Mm-hmm.
And I messaged them, but I don't have any reply from. I hope that she'll be okay. The one she had bleeding, upper GI bleeding.
Mm.
Yeah, so the summary of our September 7 to September 18, we have 10 patients. Yeah, 10 patients. The two is expired and two criticals as well.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right, nice. Awesome. Well, we only have one viewer because this hour of the evening is not the norm for those who follow us. They're used to it Sabbath morning, but we just thought this week looked like it's going to be very busy. We might not have the time to do it this weekend. So we just thought we'll still bring you this. So if you have any question, we'll just put the email address there for you so you can reach out to us if you're watching this feed after the broadcast. You should see our email there on the screen. Go check, send us an email if you have any question. You can visit our website. at By Stripes Ministries 1844.com or flyingbyfaith.org. You can send us your prayer requests at flyingbyfaith2018 at gmail.com, or any other questions you might have. You can use any of those two email addresses on your screen. We want to say special thank you to all our donors who had reached out to us. As some of you might know, we have some challenges happening in the early stage with the airplane that needed $2,500. Based on my last check with all the email and notification, we should be in the 90 something percent of reaching that goal. The order is already placed, so some is already delivered. The rest will be delivered early next week, and then we will get a quote of how much the company is going to charge us to ship it to the Philippines. We are still flying the airplane. It's still safe. It's still functional and doing what it's supposed to do. We're just taking the extra precautionary measures in making sure that we get the tool and also the parts to make the necessary changes to the airplane at a very timely manner. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll have some more updates for you. If we're not too busy and we're home, we'll definitely have part two of this particular mission flight report. We have about five more stories that we haven't included just for the sake of time. Nurse, do you have anything you want to share with anyone before you go?
I'll just share them the Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God.
All right, Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good, right? To those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. We also have our promise texts. Like you've watched them with the patient there who is Japanese from from Japan coming to the Philippines, the different patient, the one who needed the MRI, the gentleman who fell in love with Nurse Nelson on the airplane. You might be wondering, why are we doing these things? Well, here's the promise. Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, Jesus said, you have done it unto me. So many people go to church looking for Christ. Nurse Nelson and I coupled and partnered with the team there, or the social media family. We're able to see Christ every mission. We see Christ. He's the one who is sick, he's the one who is injured, he's the one who broke his leg. All these people that we're transporting on the airplane, according to Matthew 25:40, when we do these things, we're actually doing it for Christ. So to our donors who give sacrificially, the local Filipinos who donate, the foreigners in Canada, the US, and different parts of the world who donate, you're actually giving means for the purpose of sharing Christ's love with others. We welcome Janelle. We're not going to introduce you guys to her yet. We're working with her some more to get her ready for the camera and everything. We're going to be including her in the report where she'll do the summary for you guys so you can hear her voice and meet her. And so we just want to say thank you to the donors, because your financial means every month, every time, it helps to feed my family and I. It helps to take care of Nurse Nelson and Missionary Janelle, who is partnered with us here as a part of the team, so that we can continue to do what we do best in touching each hearts with each missioners. Anything lined up for this week? What do
Yeah,
we have
we
pending?
have four pendings.
Four
Something, yeah,
pending.
four.
Oh, all right. So stay tuned for that, guys. The week looks like it's gonna be busy. However, there is a typhoon. So for the Medivac for tomorrow, it's a medical transport for tomorrow. I'm not promising anyone anything. We'll look at the weather tonight, see the forecast for tomorrow, and then we'll see. As I said, we don't have all the viewers now because of the timing for this report, but nonetheless, we know they'll watch it later on, and at least they know where their time, their prayers, and their support is going towards. So thank you so much again, Nurse Nelson, for coming and joining us with our report. We look forward to improving the audio next time around, and we'll
Mm.
definitely have more stories to share with you. So say bye, Nurse.
Good night.
All right, let's pray, guys. Want to say a quick word of prayer with you guys before we go. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to use this little airplane to make these life changing impact for families here in the Philippines and also foreigners who come to this country, get themselves hurt accidentally, and we're there with our little resources to help them with the best that we can put together. Lord, we couldn't do it without your blessings. And we've come to realize that you don't fall money from the skies, but you touch hearts here in the Philippines and overseas to give financially so that we can offset the operating costs and expenses that it takes to keep this missionary effort going. We thank you for every single donor that has showed up from the beginning of this journey, the ones who have been with us, been there with us all throughout, the new ones who have come out of curiosity from a reel, from a comment, from a friend sharing something with them. Lord, we just pray a special blessing to be upon every donor and their family who has ever extended their financial blessing to this ministry. We pray and ask that you'll be with the other base, the other missionary, the other pilots, the other airplane. We pray for your divine providence to open up the weather this week so we can help these poor four pending requests. Lord, we thank you again for this opportunity to fly and be a blessing. Be with Nurse Nelson and Missionary Janelle that has come to join the team to make the workload more manageable for myself and my family. And we just pray your blessing will be upon them. Keep them safe and continue to bless with the means as we do the work to show your love to everyone here in the Philippines and to inspire others around the world. We thank you and we praise you for everything you've done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, blessings to everyone. Thank you so much again for watching on behalf of the social media family of Flying by Faith and Philippine Adventist Medical Aviation Services. I'm Davin Bennett, yours truly, and it was a blessing to be with you this week. Don't stop following the channel and help me welcome the new ones. We are now 40.5 thousand followers. So the road or the journey to 50,000, we're getting there one follower at a time. And to those who watch on YouTube, it's about 3,200 something followers. Shout out to you, greetings to you. Mabuhay from the Philippines. One love, everybody. Wow, good. And until you hear from us again, continue to follow, like, subscribe, and keep us in your prayers. Support us where you can, and we'll definitely keep going.